is.
The CBS college basketball analyst and a man who had the nickname Special K when he was in high school. Clark, how are you today?
DP! Always good to check in with you. I'm doing well, and I trust that you could say the same.
When's the last time you were called Special K?
Just the other day, they called me that in the studio quite a bit, as a matter of fact. Seth calls me that.
Okay.
There's some other folks that are part of our behind-the-scenes broadcast team that help us look good and sound good. They refer to me as that. Some of my golfing buddies will throw that out if I'm not in their pocket. But, yeah, I hear it on occasion. Yeah, it's kind of a natural connector, having the last name Kellogg and distinguishing myself a little bit on the hardwood in my days of playing. Yeah.
Now, you scored 50 in the state championship game, 51 in Ohio. Is that record still – did that still stand?
Yeah, it does. It was in the championship game, and actually it's interesting you mentioned that. We just had the sad news. I played against Granville Waiters in that game, and he was my roommate in college at Ohio State, and we just got word a few days ago that he sadly passed. COVID complications are suspected, but he always had that up on me, that one leg, because I have the state championship single game record, and he got the trophy because they beat us in that game. And as much as we loved each other, he would always jab me about that on occasion. So that's one of my fond memories of my former roommate and good friend. But yeah, I still have it. They only get one chance a year, Dan.
No.
To go after that, and you got to be in the championship game. I mean, it was a championship game record, so they only get one shot at it. And a couple of guys have come close, but so far it's still standing. But as you know, just about all records are meant to be broken, and eventually that one will fall too, I'm sure.
And when you went to the Indiana Pacers out of Ohio State, do you remember your welcome to the NBA moment as a rookie?
Yeah, I do. It was Spencer Haywood.
Ooh.
He was playing, I think it was for the Wizards. And he occasionally brings this up when I bump into him. But he was a veteran near the end, an unbelievable player. I remember reading about him and then watching him a little bit in his prime. And then but he was near the backside of his career, but he was still a wily veteran. And I think I shot like 2 for 18, and he was in my ear the whole time. And the other thing he did to me, which I never forgot, I was trying to deny him as he went across the lane trying to get to the post, and I had my arm out away from my body, and I tried to deny him. He locked my arm and dragged me in front of the official and screamed, and guess who got the foul?
You did.
Yeah.
Well, he was a grown man.
Then he laughed at me. He laughed at me after he did it. He chuckled.
Your first game against Michael Jordan. You had a great game your first game, right?
I played well. I mean, at that time, the Pacers weren't playing. We were struggling. The Bulls were not where they would get to as a championship. So that was a team, a couple of teams, Cleveland, the Bulls, that were we felt on our level. We were all in transition, trying to build something and deal with Milwaukee and the Bucks and the Sixers and the Celtics, trying to get to that level. And so, yeah, we always felt like we could compete. And actually, in my first couple of years, I think we pretty much split our games. And I typically performed, if I recall correctly, that's almost out of my rear. Actually, it is out of my rearview mirror. I can't even see that.
Well,
anymore.
I got Jordan had 27. This is his first week in the NBA. You had 31. Jordan had 27. So you owned Michael Jordan.
No. There you go, Reach. There you go, Reach, and trying to connect dots that aren't close to each other.
Okay. All right. My bad.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought you owned him. My bad. We're talking to Clark Kellogg, CBS Sports College basketball analyst, studio analyst. Is it easier to explain what happened with the Pac-12 or what didn't happen with the Big Ten?
I think you can go either way on that, because that's two sides of the same coin, man. We have this conversation on occasion in basketball circles. A really good conference regular season does not portend for a great tournament season for the conference. You play teams in the tournament. You play against your conference opponents in the conference. So the Big Ten and Big 12, clearly based on how those teams performed during the regular season, were arguably the two best leagues in the country. I don't think there's any denying or debating that. Once the tournament starts, unless you play against all Big Ten opponents as the Pac-12, and there was a woodshed from Oregon on Iowa. There was a win, UCLA over Michigan State. And I don't know if there were any other interconference collisions between the Pac-12 and Big Ten. Yeah. I don't think so. So that said, clearly the Pac-12 has had a remarkable run during the tournament. Those teams were good and inconsistent for different reasons, but have fermented nicely and played. And then you get Oregon State that's been outstanding in its 2 wins to get to this point, not to mention rolling through the Pac-12 tournament in a tournament they had to win to be on this stage. So kudos to the Pac-12. I mean, clearly they've had a remarkable run in the tournament, but it doesn't dismiss the quality of play during the regular season for the Big Ten. It's unfortunate that it wasn't able to be validated during this time of year.
You know, it almost feels like they're two top-heavy teams. It's Baylor and Gonzaga. It's Gonzaga and then Baylor. And then it feels like we take a little bit of a step down with Michigan because they don't have one of their better players. Do you see it that way, that it's real?
Do.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I do, Dan. I do, DP. Yeah, I've actually felt that way. I mean, Baylor had a bit of a snag and speed bump after coming out of an extended pause. And their pause was a little different than the pause that Michigan had, where Michigan came out after a couple of weeks off and played really well because none of their players actually had contracted the virus, whereas Baylor's players, actually a few of them had gotten sick. So there was a difference in their recovery. And now that they've had the benefit of some time together, they're healthier and so forth. They showed another level of what they showed pretty much during the early season and regular season. I mean, that's an elite defensive team with a quartet of guards that can do everything you want guards to do at both ends of the floor. Pressure the ball, help out, dig down on the post, make threes, dribble drive to create shots for other people, dribble drive to finish for themselves. I mean, there's no weakness with their 4 guards, and that's where it intrigues me. If, in fact, both advance, Gonzaga and Baylor, if they were to match up, then that would be one that would be really interesting to watch. Could Baylor disrupt Gonzaga in the backcourt? I don't think there's another team out there that could. So I've got the Zags winning it all, have had them in that position since probably midway through the season. Baylor would be my second choice. And I think the winner of the Michigan-Florida State game would be the next team I would look at. USC is intriguing if they advance, Dan, because they can defend. They've got size up front and good perimeter defenders. And then after that, I'm not enamored with anybody else. And that doesn't mean I'm right, but I just wouldn't be I wouldn't have great conviction in picking any of the remaining teams to beat Gonzaga.
This just in, Texas coach Shaka Smart is headed to Marquette, according to Jeff Goodman. Is this a preemptive move of I'll leave before I get fired?
Wow. Jump before they push? I don't know, but interesting. Yeah. Well, the carousel starts. You know, there are a number of spots that are open and new leadership in different places. All of that lends to change and transition. And so, yeah, that was a tough way for that was actually one of the more painful things to watch, just as a fan of Shaka's, to see that loss. And then the way he took it was just it was hard, but that's part of the agony of defeat.
That's why it's called madness, Clark. It's called.
Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Dan. You're exactly
madness.
Right. Yeah.
One more item here. Porter Moser's been great at Loyola. He's been here before. At what point do you jump from Loyola to take another job? Or do you get to a point where, almost like Mark Few at Gonzaga, you realize that person wants to stay in that location?
Well, you took the thought right out of my head. I mean, that's always a personal call, Dan, and unless you're up close to somebody and know kind of where they are in life season and cycle, what pushes their buttons, what motivates them, what's on the horizon they'd like to grab hold of. You know, fit is important, success is important, but each individual has to make that call for themselves. And obviously Mark has decided that the things that Gonzaga offers him in competitiveness and opportunity and lifestyle and all of that, is more important than any offers he got in the past. I don't know how that plays out for Porter Moser, but that's a question. You know, George Raveling has a quote that says the greatest battle of your life will always be you versus you. And so you have to be willing to determine what it is you seek and desire. And if it's out there and you want to pursue it, go after it. If not, be okay with staying put. So I don't know how it's going to play out, but I love watching that team play, and I love how he coaches. So he'll have an opportunity to keep doing it for as long as he'd like to, in my opinion.
Have fun tomorrow. Play nice, and always great to catch up with you, Clark. Thank you.
Yeah, love it, Dan. Thank you, man. Take care. Stay healthy and safe, buddy.
That's Clark Kellogg, CBS Sports.